On today's show, I will have the pleasure of speaking with Kevin Petersen, who is the founder of the Chronic Hope Institute. Coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Melia, host of the Love Manual podcast. The Love Manual is a resource for all things love and relationships, and we want our viewers and listeners to get valuable tips and information from our informative and experienced professionals and guests. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's show, we have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Kevin Petersen. Please help me welcome him to the show. Hi,
Hey,
Kevin. How are
hi.
you today?
Good. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, just the title of your institute alone is amazing. So I would love for you to tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about Kevin Petersen.
Okay, sure. That'd be fun. Just a little, because I can go all day. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I live in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. My wife and I moved here about 2.5 years ago from Denver, Colorado, where I lived for about 25 years. And before that, I grew up in Northern California, in the little town of Palo Alto, California. And oh my goodness, let's see. I'm also in recovery from drugs and alcohol. I've been sober since May 5th, 1991. And this is the second
Congrats.
career. Thank you very much. This is the second career for me. So there you go.
Awesome. So, okay, so I know that I said at the beginning of the show that you were the founder of the Chronic Hope Institute. What made you, I mean, what, motivated you to name it that and to be the founder of it? What was your motivation?
Well, I wrote two books. The first book was called Chronic Hope:
Mhm.
Parenting the Addicted Child, and that came out in I think October 2019. And the term chronic hope actually came from a friend of mine named Josh Miller. Hey, look, there they are. And they my buddy Josh in Colorado said, I was like, I'm trying a really hard time coming up with the title.
Uh-huh.
And he said, well, what's it about? I said, well, I work with these families that are struggling with addiction within in the concept of the family. And that first book was really more about someone who's under 18 or under 25 living at home. Um, and I said, the families just have this belief that one day, tomorrow, magically, it's going to be all better.
Right.
And he's like, so they kind of have like this chronic hope. And I'm like, that's it. And
Wow.
and so that's how I got the name. And then last year during the pandemic, I decided to. I mean, I have my Petersen Family Counseling is my therapy practice.
Uh-huh.
But then I thought I needed to sort of take it to. I need to get out of the idea of just being a therapist, and you know, the Chronic Hope Institute is designed to help the public understand more about addiction, codependency, and recovery, and help clinicians understand more about addiction, codependency, and recovery. So that's why we created the institute, was to educate people and help them.
Right. Wow. I mean, this the addiction is so worldwide. Like, I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. And for you to have the Chronic Hope Institute for individuals to come and know that there is a place that they can, discuss these issues. And I actually really love the approach that you take as far as counseling. So I want you to get into that a little bit. I know that, it has to do with the whole family. So can you explain that just a little bit?
Absolutely. So our perspective is that addiction doesn't just affect the individual; it affects the whole family system.
Hmm.
And that in order for the individual to heal, the whole family system has to heal as well. So in the second book, Chronic Hope: Families and Addiction, what I did was create three segments or three phases. Okay, and the first phase is before recovery or before treatment. And what that really is, I base this all on what happens to me on a daily basis with the families that I work with. the first phone call is almost always the same. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what are we going to do? We need your help, you know. And they look, and really, in families that are in a crisis, I always say it's like, you know, it's like driving up to your house and finding, you know, the fire department's there, and they're getting all the hoses ready, and they've done everything, and your house is on fire, and that the only thing they haven't done is turn on the water.
Right.
And then they stop and they look at you and they say, so hey, before we get fixing the fire, why don't you tell us what it feels like to have your house be on fire? You know, which
Yeah.
is kind of, it's what therapists are taught to do. And so I don't do that. I shift it around. I'm like, we're putting the fire out. We're gonna change things. We're gonna make this all better, and then we're gonna talk about how we got here and what happened. That's phase 2. And phase 3 is how do we reintegrate everybody back into the family.
Wow, that's amazing, Kevin. And that's a good approach because a lot of counselors think that they have to focus on that individual that's suffering the addiction, not even realizing that it's actually the whole family that's suffering.
Yes, absolutely. You are 100% correct. I mean, the traditional thought process is that if we just fix that one person and fix that one thing, everything's going to be okay. But the statistics show that when that person comes back from 30 days of treatment and the family system hasn't changed, the odds are they're going to relapse and go back out.
Yeah, that's true, especially if the family is not on board. And that's going to be another question, too, that I wanted to talk about. But what are some of the needs of the individuals that receive the family care management the way that you do it? What are some of their needs?
Sure. So what they really, what we, a lot of what we have to do is start by with is educating them and helping them
Mhm.
understand what addiction is and what it looks like and how it works. And there's 3 parts to addiction, right? There's the physical part of addiction, you know, which is the allergy. You know, it's the, you know, once I take one drink or one anything, I have to have more. Your body reacts and you have to have more. And then the second part is the mental part, which is we call the mental obsession, which is I know I have a problem, but this time it's going to be different. And this time I'm going to do things differently. And that never works. And then the last part is what we call the spiritual malady. And the spiritual malady is that I know I have a physical problem and I know I have a mental problem, but I refuse to ask for help.
Right.
And that's how we define addiction. So educating the families on, because their odds are they're not addicts, and they're like, I don't understand why he does this,
Right.
and so we want to teach them what that's where we start is by educating them, and we educate them about codependency too.
I love, love, love it. So, during the pandemic, did you see a rise in outpatient or inpatient treatment for individuals? And do you do inpatient treatment at your facility?
So no, we're strictly a therapeutic process.
Oh,
You know, a therapeutic and family care manager, case management. But we refer people to inpatient treatment a lot, and you know, I would say that things were steady for us. You know, everyone, a lot of folks I talked to were like, yeah, and I bet the pandemic was really great for business. I'm like, well, I mean, it was because you know people were self-medicating and turning towards that instead of taking better care of themselves because everyone was under this giant pile of trauma and stress. And
right.
you know, it wasn't just the pandemic, it was, you know, it was the country at odds, you know, and
Yeah.
really just kind of everybody going after each other. And you know, the picture that I like to draw, or the analogy I draw, is that the last year and a half is very much like an alcoholic family. Mom and dad are fighting, and they're going after each other tooth and nail, and nobody's minding the children, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so the kids, and it's creating a ton of trauma, right? And the kids are really lost. And so what ends up happening is the kids start sort of going into certain behavior patterns. You know,
Right.
there's the fighter, there's the runner, there's the person that sticks their head in the sand and acts like everything's fine.
Mhm.
There's definitely the addict, and then there's the caregiver. You know, and everyone's been kind of running into their space, and it's, I think a lot of it's because you know they haven't felt like they're being nurtured and loved and cared and taken care of. If that does that make sense?
It certainly does make a lot of sense. It really does. Yeah. There's a lot of individuals now, like you said, the parents are over there, they're arguing, they're fighting, they're not even paying attention to the youth. He's in the room doing whatever he want to do or she wants to do, and they're
Yeah.
not really paying attention. So, like you spoke about with the codependency, now, do you find that it's a little easier to deal with families when parents are no longer codependent? I mean, codependents, I guess, for
Well,
the
yeah, I mean, ideally, right? It's like what we want to do, what our goal. I mean, once we get the person pushed, get the addict or the alcoholic help, then we really want to dig in and focus on the family and help them sort through what's going on with them. And when we can get them to a space where they start to understand that they're not responsible for their loved one's addiction, but they are responsible for how they respond to it. And
yeah,
if we can get them to start to realize that, oh wow, I was really not responding to that in a very healthy fashion with a lot of codependent behaviors, with caretaking, enabling, and all sorts of stuff, passive aggressive behavior and all that sort of thing. Then we can really dig in and have fun with the family. And when the families realize that and realize they're not to blame, okay, but
right.
but that they can get better too, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful.
And yeah, I can imagine. So I know that, a lot of counselors deal with the individual who is the youth that is, abusing and that's addicted. But what about when it's in reverse and it's the parents that are addicted and then the children have to come in as a group and deal with that?
Yeah, that's a great point. My goodness, that's a great point. And what ends up happening there is that we end up resourcing the heck out of those kids and helping them understand. So I will tell you, like, my number one resource for that situation is out of a group called Hazelton Betty Ford. They have what's called the Children's Program, and it's this amazing 4-day program for kids that's hosted in different parts of the country by therapists that teach the kids from 7 to 12, it's not their fault, and how to communicate and how to speak up and how to put emotions to their feelings and how to put words to those things as well. It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely wonderful.
Wow. Well, I'm actually happy that there is a program that's like that because you always think about, okay, it's the youth that's addicted and the parents have to deal with this whole situation, but sometimes it's in reverse. And I feel really bad for the kids who have to witness their parents going through this, but that's a good program. So
Yeah.
what is like the youngest age of a youth that you ever had to counsel?
Well, when I first graduated, I was working. Actually, my internship was at a place called Arapahoe Douglas Mental Health in Denver, and
Mhm.
it was a community mental health organization, Medicaid based. And I was working with kids all the way down to like 7, 8, 9 years old. And
Wow.
I have a master's in marriage and family therapy, but I also stayed on another year and a half and got additional training in working with children and adolescents.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, let everybody know where your facility is based out. I mean, where are you? Tell everybody.
So I'm in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and we do telehealth right now just because of everything that's going on. So we can service anyone in the country,
Oh,
absolutely anywhere in the country. If you have a family member or a loved one or somebody that you're concerned about and you don't know what to do, we can help you.
I love
And,
that.
and, and then we also have an office in Denver, Colorado, and we have 4 therapists that work there, and they're phenomenal, and they all do case management as well. So yeah, we like to think that we can help anywhere in the country. And we actually have, like, there's the books. We have a YouTube channel. We have done some podcasts and a lot of video, and so we have a lot of information that's available for free.
I
And
love
it's
that.
important for us to be able to make sure that this is something that's affordable to everyone.
And that's true, Kevin. That is really appreciated because, the services, people will say, oh, I can't do it. I don't have the money, or I don't know where the resources are. But at least that, you're giving them some resources and some tips and advice on where they can go. And your resources are free as far as telling them, who they can contact. So do you have any up and coming projects that you want to discuss and let our viewers and listeners know what amazing things you're doing for the people?
Well, gosh, I would say, join our Facebook page at the Chronic Hope Institute, and we have a Facebook group,
Oh,
and we do, what we do about once a month, we do what we call Ask Me Anything.
oh,
And so I'll go online and just take anybody's questions, and it can be as specific as, my 25-year-old son is addicted to whatever, or my
mhm.
husband, or my wife, or my, whatever. And I will answer those questions, and I will walk them through resources. And so I want people to know that that's totally free, right? That's 100% free. Everything is available right then and there. And then we also keep those and put those on the website so people can go back and access them.
Ah, that's a smart idea. I guess so. The questions will still be there. They'll go back and look at the answer that you gave the last person, or
Yeah,
right? Wow,
yeah.
well, that's interesting. So, how often do you have to see or coach the same family? Like, how long does that process usually take?
What we try to do is, if it's from the first phone call all the way through reconciliation, it can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on the situation.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be done really quickly, like maybe 4 to 6 sessions, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit longer, and there's a little bit harder work to do. And when you dig in and start finding stuff, you got to really dig in and get after that.
Yes, absolutely. Because what you're digging into is basically the cause, or, their traumas, I guess, basically cause them to head down that road. So, how do you feel about parents and children being in the same room while you're coaching, and some of the things that you have to bring up? Is that really hard to do?
It can be, depending. I mean, obviously it depends on the age of the child and, what's going on and where we're headed. But we've definitely had people, teenagers all the way up to grandparents in the same sessions.
Wow.
That's because, the thing is, one of the big deals that we believe in is that you're only as sick as your secrets, and so
Mm,
we have to break that concept of, well, we're not going to tell them that,
right.
and I mean, some things are not appropriate for little kids, and I totally agree with that.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's actually important that teenagers start to understand about addiction and alcoholism and recovery, so that when they start getting in touch with that or start experiencing their friends or themselves, they're like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I know where to go with this.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that that is a good idea. So that way they can see, if I keep going down this road, then that's where I'm going to end up. Right.
Absolutely, you got it. You got
Wow.
it. Now, if someone's truly an addict, they're going to go down that road anyway.
Right.
But we want to at least give them a place where they can go to get help. You know.
Right. Absolutely. So what about, I know that when addicts are addicted, they're the only ones that could bring themselves really out of it, as far as saying, when I'm done, I'm done, but nobody can tell me that I'm done. What do you think about that?
Well, yes and no.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Tell me.
Because I mean, I hear that all the time from the families. Well, he's
Hmm.
only going to quit when he wants to quit. I said, yeah, okay, I get that, but you can also tell him that until you quit, we're not dealing with you. You can make it clear. Let me be clear with you. My family, my dad sat me down. I was in a 4-hour car ride with him in 1990, and he, in the first 5 minutes, went like this. You're a drug addict and an alcoholic, and you're kind of a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And until you get that squared away, you're out of the family.
Wow.
That's it. We love you, but no. And I think it's really important to set boundaries like that. And if somebody's going to choose to lead the drug addict or alcoholic lifestyle, that's their option and that's their choice. But you don't have to go with them. You don't have to go down that rabbit hole with them. And so that's what I teach the families, is that it's okay to stand your ground and say, yeah, I'm not doing that. We're not going there.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of parents will enable their youth, or, vice versa, just because they think that, oh, I'm helping him. He's going to be sick if I don't give it to him, and all of these other things. But if he made his own bed or she made her own bed, then they have to lie in it and figure out how they're going to get what they need, right, to survive. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's important to always be able to tell someone, I love you, I'm
Uh-huh.
concerned about what you're doing, and I'll help you. I'm not going to just shut the door in your face and tell you never come back. I'm
Right.
going to tell you that I will do it because I love you, and I will do everything in my power to help you. But if you don't want my help, that's cool, but that I'm going to disengage from you. Does that make sense?
It certainly does make sense. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's that tough love, I guess, because you don't want to have them dependent on you to pay for their drug habit.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Tough love is sort of more the old shut the door on their face and be like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
I tend to look at it more along the lines of let's offer them boundaries and empathy with a solution.
Very good, Mr. Peterson. I like that.
Yeah,
I love it.
it worked on
So,
me.
well, that is good. How long did it take you to recover and get back on track?
Well, I mean, I like to think that when I first started when I stopped using and stopped drinking in May 5th of 1991, that's when my recovery started. And then, I'm a firm believer in the 12-step methodology, and I'm part of that whole process. And I would say that my recovery has been ongoing. I mean, I just keep moving forward and keep moving forward. And like when I was 16 years sober, I was 43 years old, and
Wow.
I realized I didn't want to be a salesman anymore. I wanted to go back to school and be a therapist. And so I took a giant leap of faith, and here I am.
And that's amazing. I mean, you did a wonderful job. I know that your family is super proud of you. So, okay, so we have a question. I really cannot see it. I see Tanya Postel asked us a question.
Oh,
Um,
I see it. I can see it.
Thank you, Kevin. Can you answer that?
Yeah, Tanya says, yes, you cannot make it comfortable for them. Oh, Tanya, you are speaking my language. Bless you. That is absolutely the truth. And I work with so many families that, well, I don't want them to be mad at me and I don't want to cause problems. I'm like, you realize that you're actually contributing to their demise, you know, and we call that loving someone to death.
Wow. And they
Yeah.
don't even realize they may realize it, but they're not getting it at that moment. Oh, wow. So what tips and advice can you give parents or youth who have someone that's addicted to anything? What tips and advice can you give to someone that's addicted?
Sure. For like a family member,
Yeah.
what I would say is go to our website, chronichope.us, watch our videos, listen to our podcast, join our Facebook page. We
Uh-huh.
offer all kinds of information and resources for free, free, and we will educate the heck out of you and show you exactly, what we think is, and we'll give you resources and show you where to go with it. And that's the number one thing I think I can tell people to do.
I love it. I think she says something else there. I mean,
Oh, so Tanya, she's speaking my language. I think it's also important to have an outlet for prayer to God as well. Absolutely no questions asked. Huge believer in the spiritual program of action. Huge believer in higher power. And I am so with you on it. I mean, let's be clear. If all it required was education or medication, we wouldn't need a spiritual program.
right.
But the spiritual program is really, really, really what makes this all happen.
Absolutely. I love that she said that, and I love that you have that in your in the Chronic Hope Institute as well. So okay, first of all, your books. Where can they find your books?
Amazon for the paperbacks, and
Okay.
then Kindle, obviously, and then on Audible. Both books are on all three. Yes,
All
absolutely.
right, and I love it. Is that your voice? Because I heard some of it.
No,
Okay,
no,
because I was
no,
like, wait a minute, Kevin.
no. I looked into it, but man, it takes forever, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of really wonderful people out there that do this for a living that are very quick and very effective and very cost effective. So,
Well,
you know.
I like it. That was really good. So they can find your book on Amazon. Where can the listeners and viewers find you? I know you said Facebook. What about LinkedIn?
We have a visitor.
Uh-oh, I'm just, hey, buddy, I see you
Sorry.
again.
He didn't want to get left out, you know.
That's okay. He wanted his airtime too.
Yeah. So yes, we're on the Chronic Hope Institute is on Instagram, LinkedIn, no kisses, Facebook, and let's see, I think that's we're on Twitter.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say you can definitely find us on Instagram and on Facebook. Just punch in the Chronic Hope Institute, you'll find us, and we'd love to have you be part of our family.
Oh man. Kevin, you are amazing, and I thank you so, so much. And as you see, we're putting up your website.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at that.
Look at that guy.
That
all
guy,
dressed
Kevin.
up.
I love it. I love it. But and that, right there says there is a solution, and I believe that your place is the place to be, actually. So
Thank you.
No, I thank you so, so much for giving the viewers and listeners some tips and advice, and, you know, give a few words of encouragement. What do you have to say? They can do it, right?
Oh, you know, you can, let me tell you, recovery is possible for the addicts and for the family members. Okay. You can get better whether the person in your family gets better or not, you know. So don't think that everything's dependent upon the person getting sober. You can get better as well and start to live your life, whether or not they're living theirs.
Yes, Kevin, that was a well said. And on that note, please look for Kevin's books on Amazon and check him out on Audible and LinkedIn, Facebook. Join his group, ask your questions, and he'll be happy to answer. Kevin, thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate you. And I know your dog's name start with a B.
Bert.
Bert. Got it. Bye, Bert. Thank you, Kevin, so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Mel, for having me. This was wonderful.
Awesome. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so, so much for joining me on the Love Manual. Don't forget to visit our website at www.thelovemanual.com, where you get some resource information, where to go on trips, newsletters, and don't forget to visit our store where you'll find some great items for you and your partner. Okay. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.